One more time for the people in the back.
That's the lie.
Oh my God.
What up, YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, back in here with yet one more video, joined by a very special returning guest, Tiff.
Hi, friends.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you doing all right today? How you doing?
Yes. You know, it's nice outside.
It's beautiful outside.
Yes.
It's beautiful. This might be the best weather day so far this year.
Yes, I'm finally off to enjoy it.
Right.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing. So
Yes.
we're going to hurry up and get through this video.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like the outside needs to be shown some respect today.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Yes, it does. It does. All right? So listen, about 2 weeks ago, I posted up a post, and the post read, hey, Tiff's coming back in a few days to do another video. Have a specific question for her, leave it down below. So Tiff's gonna answer them. I'm not sure how far we're going to get into this video, because I feel like some of these questions can take an entire video. But I want to get through as many as what we possibly can, since Tiff is now our resident guru. She's been promoted by me.
What?
Yeah, she's now the resident guru. I think like low key, in knowing you, I knew that they were going to appreciate your perspective. I think I underestimated how much that they appreciate your perspective in the way that you address and tackle certain questions, and I think it's because you think through and you understand both sides of the coin,
right?
And then you kind of just give your perspective on top of that, and it's not one that's in aggression, it's not one in just a reaction, a gut feeling reaction, but it's one that's thoughtful. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm just being me, y'all.
she really is, though. She's like this both on and off the camera. She really is. Cool. Anything to say before we get started? We're just gonna hop right into it.
Oh yeah, we're just gonna hop right into it. This is always fun. Like, it gets better and better, like, the more I do it. Because I was like mad nervous. Y'all already heard me say that.
Yeah, she was mad nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
But really appreciative that you gave it the opportunity. So this first question comes from Jimmy Sisfar. My question to her is: after learning all of this information, after watching these videos, how will she apply it to her daily lifestyle? And how does this affect her ideal man? So we'll get into the first question. Right. All this red pill stuff that we've seen, you've gone through an AMS video or two. Yes. And your cousin, he's a red pill gentleman.
he's like my Morpheus.
Yeah, no, he really is. He introduced you first before all the AMS stuff.
Before I even heard any of this. Yeah. And I didn't even know you were on this thing.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't even.
So, but anyway.
Yeah. So the first question: how will you apply it to your daily lifestyle? And just FYI, we're still gonna make this into a conversation. I know a lot of y'all don't care what the hell I have to say. You just want to hear Tiffany, but we're still gonna make this into a conversation, as well. So
yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to be about, right?
Yeah. I think so.
So I actually have been having conversations more and more with my female friends, trying to, bring them over to not the dark side, but just another perspective. And I had this discussion actually a couple of days ago, just kind of explaining. They were like, "Oh, Tiffany, what have you been up to?" I'm like, "Oh, well, a couple of things." And I've been hanging out more with my cousin and getting this information, and it's been very enlightening. And I think to bring it into my daily lifestyle, I want to help bring my sisters and my friends, and even my aunties and my mom, into some of this game that they're just so not used to. And of course, they came with daggers.
They came with daggers at you for this information?
Yeah, well, they just didn't understand, and I was like, man, I don't think I'm explaining this very well, but it started the conversation. And I think now, I think you could get more people, at least more women, interested in figuring out a different approach to understanding relationships in general, because I think we're lost, even myself, and and even me explaining it to them, I was like, man, I do feel that way sometimes. Maybe they just don't understand us. Maybe they just, they feel a certain way, and and
was there anything in that conversation that you were having, like with these women, your loved ones, that you felt like stuck out in their response? Was it like a complete defensiveness, or was it a totally just not understanding?
I think it was a little bit of both. Everybody came like with guns a-blazing. What do you mean they feel this way? Well, what about this and what about that? And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, just breathe for a moment. Just breathe. Think about like what we've been doing this whole time. Is it really working for any of us? And I was waiting.
Crickets.
And I'm like, so about that. So let's ponder on that. And let's think, well, maybe if we just have this conversation and you just sit and like listen and kind of digest before actually. So I think that's what I'm trying to do more of, is listen, even though I do that already, but like I said, when I was explaining it to them, I kind of felt that their same energy, like, dang, maybe they still don't know it, like.
You felt that kind of creep back in.
Yes, it came back. It did, y'all. It was like insane. I'm like, oh man. So we gotta have, more conversation. And I think that I was telling them that I think that women will be more open to having these conversations if we change maybe or adapt the language so that they understand it, because they weren't getting what I was spitting out.
They wasn't getting it. They wasn't trying to get it.
Like, no. And even like I said, I felt the same. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, maybe they don't understand. I was like getting into my old feelings, like, wait a minute. And then I stepped back and I wasn't around them anymore. And then I thought about the conversation. I'm like, wow, maybe it's the language itself. Like maybe we're just not trying to hear what each other is saying. Even men that are in the red pill group and they think in this way are not really being able to articulate articulate to women what they really want, they're like not understanding anything you're saying. Well, maybe you got to change the game up a little bit.
I completely identify with what you're saying, in a sense of I think it's on both sides of the coin, whether you're
for sure.
A red pill gentleman, or on the opposite side of the coin, a woman who doesn't understand kind of what a red pill guy is saying. Is like, I think at the end of the day, it kind of goes down to maybe not negotiation is the right word of the term, but it's like, how you phrase things really matters when you're trying to convince someone of a point, right? And this is a debate tactic. In a sense of, if someone says a point to you, it's like, first you have to understand their point from their perspective. And at the point that you can understand their point from their perspective, you can then arm yourself with the correct information, the correct data, to either rip their point to shreds in a subtle way as to not make them defensive, but to attack the point in a way that they can at least listen to on their level, right? Like, and if someone is operating from a place of emotion and you're giving logic, sometimes it doesn't matter how right or correct or the data that you give is. Oftentimes it's little details in that conversation that will help them understand, as opposed to just react to pieces and components that trigger them.
Right.
So and that's why, like, I love like these types of conversations, because you get to bubble things up from both sides of the coin, and get to really study and look at not what I'm saying to you, not what you're saying to me, but a third party, what they're saying, so we both can be less defensive, because we can look at what someone else is saying and try to pick it apart without picking apart our views on the situation. You know what I'm saying? And go back and forth and debate and argue, and and that can just turn into people just not hearing your point
at all. It just goes right there.
I mean, it's selling 101. How to sell your ideas to somebody.
Right.
If you walk into like a consumer electronics store and you have an Android and someone else and they're trying to sell you an Apple, what you don't want to do is just talk about all the benefits of Apple. You want to first understand, well, why are you in the store? What's going on with your phone? What don't you like about your phone? So then that Apple Store agent at that cell phone can then pick pieces apart of what you're telling and how Apple can do better at this product.
Yes, diagnosing the situation and then planning out how to best get them in.
Right. So I don't think that it's so much. I know a lot of red pill dudes say that they just don't listen, or they just switch it up. You know, a lot of times it's either they're just not open up to the information. So, and it could take time. Sometimes it could take hitting that ridiculous wall.
Oh yeah.
Right, that heartbreak wall.
Oh yeah.
You know, like hitting rock bottom.
Hitting your head hard, and like, oh dang, shit.
Yeah.
Maybe what he was saying was right. Maybe right.
One more year. All right, so the second part of that question was, how does this affect her ideal man?
Man, that's like a really
That's
good
deep.
one. That is deep.
That's deep.
Oh man, affecting my ideal man. I think with this knowledge that I've gained so far has definitely helped me like navigate the dating scene again, and like really trying to
making sure the mic's on. Sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
That's important.
That's very important.
No, like just making sure that I understand where that person is coming from, and like their behaviors and how they move and stuff like that. And before I was just kind of reacting in the typical female role, like, oh, he doesn't understand me, he's this, he's that, he's supposed to be my like best friend, and I don't want to navigate like that anymore. Like, my friends are my friends.
Yeah.
Those are who I talk about, the gossip and the, I don't know, you know, just meaningless things that we, you know, because most guys don't want to hear that stuff, and it's like, of course he didn't hear you, sweetie. He don't care about that stuff.
I don't care about those.
I got it now. Yeah, so it's like it makes the time that I spend with these people trying to get to know them better, it's more meaningful. You know, we're not getting away from like, I don't know why we're there, you know? And like, I have my best friends, those are my best friends. And then if I'm dating someone, so my ideal man is just somebody that I can kind of separate that with. And for a long time I thought, oh no, like society's supposed to tell me that, like, oh no, that's supposed to be your best friend. You're supposed to tell him everything. And then you have all these people that are upset, like, well, he doesn't even listen to me, and he doesn't do this, and he doesn't care about my hair, and he didn't see my new necklace, and he didn't.
It's not his lane.
He ain't looking at that.
He's not your female friend. He's not your gay best friend.
He's not gonna gas you up like that.
Yeah, not to that level.
Not to that level. Right.
Yeah, but you know, it's give and take. Like he's not gonna be all interested in conversations that are just right. So, but the movies tell you that he should.
Right.
Culture, society tells you that he should.
Right.
And it's just not in a dude's wheelhouse.
That is not it. So I'm working on understanding that pathway, and like, you know what? I'm not gonna go down that road with him. And then we're gonna see how this time with each other and really getting to know more about each other, and you know, I think that's most important, and letting that other stuff go, and like, oh, it's not gonna be like my best friend like my best friend is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes complete and utter sense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like when you were talking, I was thinking of, you know, there's different people in your life for different purposes.
Yes.
So, you know, requiring a dude to be that, it just, you know, and the dude could be that, you know, it could be something that he does, you know, really well at. Like, it could be, but this expectation that, you know, every dude is going to want to do that, or like by doing that, if he doesn't do that, doesn't rock with you, he doesn't bang with you, right? Because he doesn't fit this cookie cutter of, you know, what an R&B song told you that he should do. Stay up on the phone with you all night on bended knee or whatever. Pick the R&B song.
Hey, I like that song though.
You know, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
I'm just kidding. But
it's a classic.
But yeah.
Cool.
So I hope I got that out.
I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of extra questions based off of your answer.
Okay.
But all right, we'll keep going here. Civil Shaman, shout out to you, young brother. Since you have been giving her these red pills and she's reaching these epiphanies, Is she now willing to join an alpha's stable? So I feel like, so let's settle on what he's talking about.
Okay.
Because I think you can interpret alpha stable a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
I think he's saying join like a roster, a team for a dude who may not be able to give you all the attention that you require, at least right now, but he has carved out certain times within his purpose-driven week to hang out with you, but you have an understanding that, you know, he might be hanging with others as well, right? So without agreeing or disagreeing with what he's insinuating here, do you think that after receiving these pills, you'd be more apt to like join a situation where you know you may not be the only one in his purview?
Right. I think I'm starting to realize that. Like, I used to think like, oh, this person is just only focusing on me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case. That's not the case.
Mm.
I think that with men in the red pill community, I've learned a lot. So I'm willing to kind of like get to dive into that information more. And I'm okay with it. I mean, most people they've got multiple people on their team.
Right.
And I think it's all about just kind of being authentically me. And hey, there it is. The best person wins, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I think that it's a very interesting question. It's a good question because on one side of the coin, you're kind of allowing him to figure out him, which, you know, is a good thing because he's figuring out a situation. But on the other side, he could be using your time for validation, for sexual gratification. Come on, Cameron.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I was like slowly fading.
Yeah, you were slowly leaving the,
Right.
So he could be doing it for all these other kind of purposes and reasons. So, you know, it could, you know, within that time, you could get more emotionally invested, which can mess your head up and, you know, in the long run.
Right, but I think now that I have more information about like how guys think, I think it'll make my decision making if I want to be in that situation or not. Like, it makes it easier for me. Yeah. So if I know if our time, like he's making that time and a lot of it, then I know he's definitely interested in me. Right. If he didn't, then I kind of see where I stand.
Where you stand.
So now I'm understanding the game better. You know, like your time. What's it? Your time. Your resources. Like what things that, you know. How is this going to benefit? Yeah.
How you prioritize your time.
Right. So if those things are adding up and more, I'm like, oh, okay.
You see what's going on.
He liked me. Right.
No, that's real.
Yeah.
That's such a, because like, let me just give a quick story. Well, not a story, but like, for example, a young lady that joined my life, and when I say that, like, you know, she's, you know, on the roster somewhere. She's younger. Just assumes that 100% of the attention will be given to her. Right. Just an assumption. Like, without the qualifications, without the time invested, without all these other things. And that assumption just turned me the hell off. Like, they just turned me the hell off. Like, immediately, I'm just thinking to myself, oh, she doesn't get it yet. She still lives in that fairy tale as if, like, I'm going to drop everything that I'm doing to make sure that and she's within my space, within my time, like, utilizing my resources. And just to have that assumption as soon as she steps into the front door waving the 4-4, like it's ridiculous, right? So because of that, she might just be, unbeknownst to her, deselecting herself out of the situation based on how she's handling that component.
Now that you say that, like, I'm like, I used to think that way. Yeah. For real. Like, and that's probably why I'm still single at that point, you know, like. They're kind of like, no, that's not. It's not reality. That's not reality. Yeah. But I was, you know, society kind of keeps putting that in your head, like, oh, you know, he's spending time with you. You're the one. Yeah. You're the one. It's all about you.
Mm-hmm. You are the prize. He should treat you like such and act accordingly. And then when he doesn't, you give him shit test after shit test. And then the dude's like, this crazy mother.
She is crazy. She keeps
crazy.
calling me. She's calling me. It's like,
and I'm just like,
we just went out one time.
yeah, like we just went out one time. Like, are you serious? It's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Hey,
Shit.
Man, they feed us a lot of BS, and we just feed into that. That's why women, we just target it so heavy on a lot of things. So bear with us. Like we got a lot coming at us, and I think that's why it goes back into like learning the language. And like if you can see that right away, then like back away quickly.
Yeah.
You know, if that's not something that you want.
Yeah.
So because the more time you spend with that person, and they're thinking that, oh yeah, this is all about me, you're going to be in a world of hurt or some extra drama that you don't want in your life.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I think like, and this is what I balance from time to time. We do videos like this. We often focus on the women's aspect,
right.
But just to keep it 100, like even on the other aspect, it doesn't help when you have dudes out there that are just slaying and lying and then dropping y'all and lying about what they're looking for in a situation,
right.
And then just leaving y'all empty-handed, and it just further perpetuates the PTSD within our community.
Exactly.
So I'm not ever the one to just say like it's just all of y'all. Like that's not what I'm doing. Like I can empathize with your situations as well, knowing from the other side of the coin.
Right.
And I'm not one to say all women are pieces of shit. Like I feel like you can use. But there's dudes out there. You look at my comment section sometimes. I'm like,
I've heard that, and again, I'm getting more acquainted with how people feel, and so I'm like, dang. And then I take a step back and I look at some of the experiences that I've had with either other females and friends and things like that. But
yeah, you're drifting.
Oh, I can't help it. Dang it.
Drifting.
No, but it's like, dang, we do some of that stuff. Like it's not healthy, and it just brings it back full circle.
Listen, I think you do know. Right. Yeah, I think you do know. I think now you start to like we gotta give credit where credit's due. I think like it's the start, right? Like in understanding each other, which is why I love these conversations, because it bubbles it up in a way where it gives us a look outside of the matrix. Right. Right. It gives us a look outside of what advertisers make millions and millions of dollars off of selling people a dream. There's a lot of money with selling false realities, or selling something where it paints you as the prize or paints you as the victor in a situation, right? Like, and then it's not reality, and the reality shifts with the times. I mean, what was the reality in the 50s is not the realities. It's nowhere near the realities of today. Exactly. So with that, you have to bend and shift with the culture in a way that push or bend and shift with the times in a way that pushes the culture forward. Right. Right. Because without that, we can't have healing within the community as well. Exactly. Listen, so we are. Oh, we can do one more. Okay. All right. So this one's a multi-step question from Bree Marie. This one is: do men value beauty or virtue? Good questions.
Yeah, it is.
Damn.
Deep.
Deep. Y'all went in. Make sure y'all share this video on your social medias and all of that stuff. Like, make sure, So I feel like there's both in that. But it's both true. Yeah, it's not 100% either or. There's a mixture.
I think there's a mixture. I do feel like men are very they're visual, right?
Extremely.
So that's the first. So obviously beauty is there it is, right? Mm-hmm. That attracts them. But having good moral and values and good standards and things like that, where your mind is, I think that's a part of it too, especially with men in the red pill community. Mm-hmm. They really want to see where you really are. These men are smart. They've studied, they've done research, they've experienced. Yeah. And a lot of what is out there is we have to I've read this somewhere, learn or unlearn and relearn, how things are. Like you said, I mean, you got to be up with the times, and we have to kind of step back and and figure out what we want before we bring somebody else into the picture. And I think that once we do that, we can be a better partner in life in general, right? So I think I don't know. I think they value both. I do.
It's a both and. Like I think it's not either or, and it's other things besides beauty and virtue. Like do you feel like, so it's like, I think it's a both definitely, and then I think it's after you take that red pill, like how does that switch?
Because they're just not only looking at the outside of a person. It's like, what can this person really offer? And that's the main question I hear a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to add to my life to benefit it? Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And so it's like,
because it's not just beauty.
It's not, because that fades. It really truly does. And I think people now are just like, we're more intelligent. We have access to so many more things. So you got to step your game up. You can't just offer, what's on the outside. It really, like, am I going to spend time with this person for the rest of my life? When men have all these options out here.
Right.
Get your stuff together. You gotta, in order to stand out, I think you need to like visit inside first and make sure that shit is together. And I think they can see that. They can spot a fake real quick. My cousin tells me that. And this one over here.
Yeah.
Real quick.
0 to
100. I'm
real
like,
quick.
Damn. This came from my life. And I'd be like, ooh. You're right though.
All right, so let's go to part 2. What do men fundamentally not understand about the female experience? God damn with the questions.
That's a really good
what
one.
do men fundamentally not understand about the female experience? So thinking back to that room when you was with your sister, what was, like, they were going through their female experiences.
Yes.
Right. So what do we not understand about maybe what was in that room? Or I know you was about to say something. If you wanna.
Well, no, because we are emotional creatures, so we jump to that before we think logically, and that's where I think a lot of the men in the red pill community think, right? And so I think, like I said, it goes back to like understanding the language and getting that understanding and be able to articulate that back and forth is where you can kind of get to the end goal. But a female's experience, I mean, that's where I think that men need to like kind of compromise on some things, like really like maybe step back, and listen to what she's saying, and then you can break apart, like we said, what her experience is in, and able to articulate. Because if you have all this knowledge about something and you can't explain that to somebody that doesn't get it, then really what does your knowledge do? It's not doing anything.
It falls on deaf ears. Right.
So listen to what she's saying and what's going on with her. If that's sorry.
I didn't see nothing. We'll edit that out.
Thank you.
Not really. Yeah, no.
Oh, no. Anyway.